Hello, stroke warriors and their families and care partners everywhere. This is Ralph again with Stroke Warrior Radio, and welcome back to the Roz and Clay Show. We've been off for a while, so we're gonna get restarted with them today. Hey, Roz and Clay, how are you?
Hey, happy to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been overseas with the military for many months.
Yeah, that's what I really wanted to talk to you about. You got a TDY back in what, June or July?
It started the 1st of July and went all the way through. I got home the Sunday, the Sunday before Thanksgiving.
But it was only supposed to be what, 30 days or 60 days?
It was supposed to be 90 days. It ended up being 159.
Oh, shoot. Okay. How much warning did they give you?
We had about 45 days notice, and there was a lot of stuff that I needed to get done, and we tried to coordinate having my mom come and be an assistance or help. That was horrible. One of our worst decisions.
We hired two agencies.
Neither one of the agencies could provide a employee that wouldn't wear fragrance. So, we couldn't have them even show up. We were so fortunate that we had had a good relationship with our church, that two of the teenagers at the church were available to rotate through and help out. They were twins, so it was fantastic. They were amazing. They were able to abide by the simple rules of no fragrance, and they were a huge help physically and emotionally.
And
Great.
I trained them well. They did great. They saved my life twice from strokes.
I'm going to go back to the 45 days notice.
Okay.
I mean, I'll remind our listeners, your stroke was what, almost 6 years ago now, right?
7 years, yes, sir.
7 years, yeah. I mean, geez, mentally, what the hell, when you got that notice, what did you go through? I mean, it must have been almost terrifying, right? Because you guys have been together since the stroke. I mean, you haven't had any period of separation.
There was 2 weeks where I go for my annual tour for the reserves. Initially, we'd have somebody come and stay with Roz, and then we've worked, and then the last 2 years, Roz has been able to be at the house by herself. So it's been an ongoing progression, and
Okay.
we've improved the facilities at the house, like the walk-in shower. We had that put in, and these are all just steps to increase her independence.
Great.
The first 2 weeks he was away, Clay's dad, who's great. Hi, Dad, you're listening. Clay's dad came and stayed with me, and we were living in a camper on a campground. So he stayed in his own trailer.
It was a little trailer.
His own camper that we bought for him. And so it was great. So we had the campground to ourselves. This was on the Air Force Base. So that was great. And then Clay is gone 12 hours a day. So I'm at home for work. So I'm at home by myself. So it has been a progression. So we started out with his weekend drill once a month. And then we bought a camper. And so he would take the camper because he would drive back and forth. And so we were able to wean me back. And the stronger I got, we have our emergency plans, which we'll hit on that later. So I have the backup neighbors. I know who to call. They know what my situation is. I can speak to Clay. So I would let him know. And so during that deployment, I learned I did laundry, but I was on my own.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we did first was we had to basically evaluate whether or not I could go on the trip or whether or not I was going to retire, because those were basically my choices. Because I hadn't gone on a deployment basically since 2015.
Right, we thought
So
it was done.
I thought I was done.
So it was a total
Oh.
surprise. So
So-
that was part of the terrifying.
It's like, okay, they're like, you're way overdue a deployment. You need to do this as part of your career. So you can choose. And we were like, no, we're going to do this. So Roz and I sat down and we're like, okay, what are the physical barriers? What are the mental barriers? And what are the emotional barriers for us to succeed? We made lists, we prioritized the lists, and I took all my PTO that I had with Raytheon and prepared for the deployment. I mean, I every vacation day that I was spending time at home, making things safer, better, more organized, or just more accessible for Roz. And as well as my time having to prepare for the packing, the paperwork, and all the coordination for my flights and everything else that I had to do for my stuff.
And then I
Yeah,
reached out to our support group. So it was terrifying. I immediately reached out to our support group, right? So we don't. And then as a military spouse, I knew who I was marrying. I mean, that's
Right.
a part of it. So I've done it before the stroke. So I literally had to reach back to that time. Okay, I did it. What's the difference now? Yes, I had a stroke, but you know what? This was a brain pathway.
yeah.
So I had,
Well,
right? So that's prior knowledge.
Well, and that's one of the things that you guys have, I would love new stroke survivors to understand. While you were going through all of this 7 years, you do stuff like you have a travel pack ready that includes meds, emergency numbers, emergency packs, all that kind of stuff. You guys have always been not smart enough, but chose to make lists and procedures and those kind of things, so that if one of you wasn't around, the other knew what the hell was going on.
Yes,
We didn't
exactly.
want
Kind of-
this to
you just
stop
expanded.
our life.
This is a part of our life.
We wanted to be, it was a part of our life. We didn't want it to stop our life.
Yeah, I like that. That's exactly what you guys have done for a long time. I know you planned out a few things, but I know some of that blew up shortly after Clay left. Roz, what kind of emotions did you go through, or tools did you use to cope when the original plans blew up in the first couple weeks?
Okay, so the two agencies that we hired, I sent them a check. So over time, one agency got COVID, so they couldn't come out, which I appreciated. They called and said, we have COVID going through the agency, and yes, we went through, we don't have COVID, but we don't want to expose you to anything, because they are aware that COVID for a stroke, for a
Yeah,
stroke person, right, a stroke survivor, that can be death, that's life threatening. My doctors told me, because I don't know if people know, at the beginning of COVID, 30-year-olds were having strokes. People were having strokes. I had a mini stroke from the vaccine. I mean, there's a lot of things that affect your brain. So I
Right.
appreciated that they were upfront about that, because those people go from house to house. So one person picked up COVID and then spread it around. So the second agency, after we spoke to them about fragrance, they're like, oh yeah, no problem, fragrance free, just like the hospital. They learned that in medical school. The number one rule is do not wear fragrance.
right,
But
right.
then Clay did bring up, okay, that means car fragrance, that's chemicals, that means hair product. So then they went back, had a meeting, and the nurse called, and medically, I mean, we know that that's a stroke trigger for me. It's chemical fragrances, go straight to your brain. She said, I'm sorry, we cannot provide a fragrance-free therapist to come see you. So that was really, you talk about panic all over again, but again,
Yeah.
we just had a default. I reached out to the neighbors, friends and family who could come for a visit. My adult daughter could come. She has a career in Texas, so she could come once a month.
Yeah.
You know,
How long were you alone before you got some help after he left?
a month.
Really?
Yes.
What'd that feel like?
That was terrifying. That was terrifying. I had people, I had so many, you know, our support group calling and texting. I literally had to tell them to please stop calling and texting every day. I'm not in the hospital. I'm at home. I do this every day because Clay's at work. And so once I got everyone else to calm down. And that's really what it was. But and so we had a plan. You and I had a plan. I really missed you. You know, you checked in. So you checked in, right?
Right.
So I had several stroke warriors check in. Madre checked in. The neighbors checked in. And I remember I also have a service dog. So the neighbors like that they can hear her. And we knew if that service dog showed up at their house without me, they would come over.
Oh, wow.
They didn't hear from me during certain times of the day. I mean, neighbors were dropping off meals, which was great.
Oh, good.
So they would let me know. So at least I had someone have eyes on me.
And we had a
Right.
really good meal delivery service that we were using at the beginning.
Oh,
So originally we were using a company called Magic Kitchen, and they were delivering frozen meals, like a 2-week supply of frozen meals, and it was great. Their food was great. Then Roz talked to her primary care and found another company called Cook Unity, and they deliver fresh meals that are refrigerated, and the quality was amazing. I mean, it's like
it's ethnic food. So I can get my Chinese food. I can get my Mexican food.
Indian
I can get my
food.
Cuban food. And so these meal
Nice.
services are great. You can
I've been
buy,
thinking about getting that for now.
Yeah,
it's
it
perfect.
saves a ton of time, and but what you pay for a single meal is like half of what you would pay at a restaurant by the time that you go there and you pay, and then you have
You
to
tip
leave a
and
tip,
yeah.
And
it's the same quality as what you would find in a really good restaurant.
I would put
It's
these,
amazing.
they're chef
I
prepared.
had the steak and potato wedges 2 weeks ago, and I can still taste it.
They're chef prepared meals. And I mean, it's a great concept, but it's Cook Unity. And my doctor, she just had a baby. So they just have busy lives. We have it sent 4 meals a week. You can have it sent 12, 8, you can order however many. And it's not, you can skip time. So it's not like the original subscriptions where you have to order. It's not, and the menu is incredible. And they're constantly updating the menu. So
That's
the
wonderful.
sad thing about that is when I find a favorite one, I can't reorder it exactly because they may not have their fresh ingredients the next week.
It's like
Okay.
Roz had shrimp etouffee yesterday.
Uh-huh. That's one of
And
my
the Mexican
favorites.
chicken bowl.
You had the Mexican. I thought you had the shrimp etouffee yesterday. Oh my gosh.
So
Okay.
remember, when we try different meals, this would be great for you since you're a chef, basically. We try different meals. That's good for our brain because that's change. That's something new.
Huh,
I
true.
want to point that out because that's something that we don't pay attention to. We eat, but I mean, the flavors, the new taste, the
I
new,
like that a chef has sat there and they've balanced your plate nutritionally, and you're
Yes,
not going and getting frozen meals from Walmart, and
with
you're
a
just
bunch of processing.
yes.
100%. It doesn't have any of that.
And I
It's
could, like, I'm gluten free. So you can go on there and do your diets. You can,
Ah,
okay, are you gluten free? Are you diabetic? So all those, there's dietitians involved. The chefs are great. You can read up. I research everyone. So you know what? I'm going to go with a Cuban chef because he's going to use his grandma's. He's going to use his grandma's recipes. You see what I'm saying? So this is,
yeah,
I felt
exactly.
like I had my own chef delivered to
You're-
the
oh, that was
door.
that pork tenderloin one. That was amazing.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna have to try that. You know, I've been thinking about it and thinking about it for months, and it's like, I'm working all the
We're
jobs and
you
the
already
radio.
struggle with enough time constraints. Take
Yeah,
that out of your, and it's not for every day. Roz does it four meals a week, so that when it's really time sensitive, she just does that. And I know that she's eating a really healthy meal. And if I'm running late or I've got something to do, I can't cook, right? It's
right.
for you would be the days where you're trying to do 13 interviews in an afternoon and you just want to throw something in, but you don't want junk food.
And see,
Exactly.
cooking to me is like science. So they literally have step one, take the sauces out, step two. And so I feel like I'm my own chef. I can sprinkle the fresh onions. Oh, there's the guacamole. Oh, there's a hot sauce. And I can cook it myself. Everything's
No,
2 minutes
I know you
microwave.
use a wheelchair, but you're not wheelchair bound, right?
Correct. I
So you
use a
can stand
wheelchair.
and cook.
Yes, sir. And
Okay,
I have a chair in the kitchen so I can sit and cook.
good.
So we have we have those procedures and tools to do
Yeah,
that.
I have a bar
That's a great
stool.
question. Thank you.
I
have a rolling cart. That's been huge for me.
yeah, Madre does that too.
That's where we got the idea from.
Creole crawfish. Oh my God, that would be so good. I love crawfish.
And look at how it gives you the instructions.
Oh my gosh, look at that. That's amazing.
And here's another one that's got more steps to it. This one is amazing.
Ooh, okra, another one of my favorites. Oh my
It
God,
is
you're bringing back memories.
it is just, and it has two sets of instructions. So you can do the oven or
Okay.
you can do the fast instructions with a microwave. So
Yeah,
you end up getting two different, and
but
it's amazing food.
yeah, I'm gonna have to try that,
And
definitely.
I think Roz said the averaging price of a meal was like 15 or $16
Nope, $7 to $11
by the time you got the shipping and
Because-
everything.
because they'll have sales.
Oh, that's right, because you were getting four meals for $55 to $60 for a while.
Yes, and so when
Okay.
Clay came back from overseas, I was like, okay, well, I can stop the meal service. And once he tasted it the first time, he said no, because he does not eat fish. I know that's weird, but I do. I love fish. It's really healthy for me. So once he tried it, he said, no, you need to continue ordering that because then we share them. Some of those meals last me 2 days. And Clay's like, no, we can share it. So now we order them and then we'll add a side or two sides.
Nice,
So we
nice.
share it. And so it's better than for us. It's better. We were in Dallas where they've got, restaurants all over, but I would put any meal 5 stars.
Yeah.
Every single
See,
time. It's incredible.
I grew up the oldest of 6 kids, big Italian family in Jersey. We always had Sunday dinners, so now even by myself, when I cook a pot of sauce or gravy, whatever you decide to call it. It's the pot's about that big, you know, it's a 2 gallon pot that I cook everything in. It's a stock
Right.
pot.
Yeah.
That's
So I
great.
can the stuff, and it's like I throw away so many leftovers, and oh my God.
Oh,
You know, because I cook so much, I'm not used to
Right.
cooking for one. I can't do it. And that may be stroke related, but for my brain, but but cooking to me, like you said, is a science. To me, Sunday cooking is a necessity in my
Ralph,
mental health.
would change your life. This would
Yeah,
change
it
your life.
would.
This one is refrigerated, so I had to learn to unpack the box. I mean, they have it down. They're very
Nice.
they're very customer oriented community, so you can email them and they're very sensitive.
Okay.
So I talked to them about the freezer, the gel freezer blocks that they send. They've been damaged, and so I've opened up one box and I said, you know, the packaging is great, but however, I've got one strong hand. I have to unpack this myself. The freezer pack. You know what? They made sure that those freezer packs were not damaged, because I pick one up and the gel would be leaking everywhere.
And that burns.
I haven't had a problem since.
Hmm.
They said they were
Cool.
looking at it and they took care of it. You see what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
part. That's someone who I want on my team.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
the Magic Kitchen was great. Those are frozen. And the couple that started that they started that for their own elderly parents in California, and they didn't know. Then it went nationwide. It caught on fire. So
Wow.
the doctor that we saw, Clay's doctor that we saw before he left, he said, try Meals on Wheels. Well, there isn't one around here. Remember, I'm out.
And then
country.
there's the concern of the person that shows up. Do they smoke? Are they wearing perfume? Did they just hug an elderly lady that wears a bunch of perfume and it transferred to them? So there was that risk.
Do they have car fragrance? Cannabis, I know that's legal in some places. Cannabis will stroke me out because that's a blood thinner.
We had to take
Yeah.
Branson, Missouri off of our travel list because they legalized marijuana there, and there's a lot of that smell there, which is a immediate stroke trigger for Roz. So
Oh,
we
geez.
can't go to Branson, Missouri at all anymore. We tried
gosh.
2 times. On both occasions, the same thing. Random person walking by just reeked of it. And it's not safe.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the first month. How often did you guys talk?
Oh,
Were you
we
late?
talked every day.
Oh,
We
did
found-
you?
We found a time that worked for us.
Which was 4 o'clock for me, 4 a.m. for me.
And that was 7 p.m.
7 a.m.
7 p.m. for me.
Oh, you're right. 7
Yeah, 7 p.m.
I know I'm right. I said.
the day before, right? I missed that one. But that was,
I said you're right. He said.
I said,
oh my God,
I
I'm
know
glad we got that recorded.
I know I'm right. I said it.
This is gonna have to go down as a historical day.
Yeah.
Anyway. So you had to make adjustments there too, obviously, because 4 a.m. for you is, you know, a pain in the
Right,
neck.
because 4 a.m. for me was 1 p.m. for Roz, and she'd be outside. And that would be the time for me waking up and getting ready to go to work. But 1 p.m. she'd be outside trying to take care of the ducks, trying to do this. So it wasn't a good time. And then anything after like 5:30 in the morning, it would be hit or miss whether I'd be available because there was no cell service where I work.
Right.
And internet was spotty at best. on Guam.
But what saved us with this deployment is that he stayed at a hotel. So he had
Oh.
better service. And I'm going to be honest because this will help someone. So I have had to FaceTime him because I was trying to change clothes and I was choking myself with my bra. And I literally am choking myself with my top. And I literally called him and put him on camera, and he had to walk me through how to
Untangle herself.
untangle myself.
Oh my gosh, that's
So that was
fantastic.
huge. That
Yeah.
was huge. I would FaceTime him how to open things. I couldn't. There was oh my gosh.
Yeah, she would just
that
like
was huge.
FaceTime me and be like, "Hey, here's my problem. What do you think?" And then she'd be annoyed that I would take longer than a minute to try to figure it out. But no, there were some times where it wouldn't be long, but there was other ones where I just sit there totally silent trying to think. And she's like, well.
Well.
Because really, so handling technology with one hand, and then
because she
Yeah.
wasn't sure whether or not the screen froze or whether my brain froze.
that's true. That's a true story.
I believe that. The caregiver situation. Go ahead, Clay.
So yeah, the technology we
good.
used technology better. The first couple of times Roz did showering by herself were stressful.
But I did it again. I taught my brother's a doctor, so I went through procedures with him.
And
I
that
would
was
text Clay before the shower. So what? I had to modify some procedures.
that was one of the things that we set up just before I left. And that was one of the rushed things is her self-showering. We only had one trial run basically before I left for Guam. And I was sitting basically outside the bathroom door and just nervous, waiting for her to go, help. And she didn't. She
well, good
didn't.
for you.
She persevered. She figured it out. And we were fortunate. We figured it out during the summer because the winter months, it's just so much more difficult after you get wet. In the winter, you get cold so easy. And that's a huge effect on a stroke survivor.
Okay.
Yes.
So I would have to say the major change for me is getting undressed in the bedroom, walking to the bathroom. What do you call that? Naked? No, what's the term for that? There's a phrase for that. Jaybird, not jaybird. Yeah, naked like a jaybird. But just
your birthday suit.
My
birthday
thank
suit.
you. That's it. Thank you. That's it. Edit that out. And so just walking, because I realize I'm trying to undress and dress in a shower by myself.
And the space is too tight.
Once I changed that, Ralph, I was good to go. And I would take my iWatch, my Apple Watch in the shower, and I have a shower bin inside the shower. So I would text Clay, and again, I could do Siri. Hey Siri, text Clay, starting shower. So he would get, and then I would say, I would test, are you getting this text? He said yes. And so after the shower, after the water was off, I would text him shower off.
And I knew that from the time that she sent me that text, 1 hour, she had 1 hour. That was a normal time frame before I needed to even get concerned, because she would take her time. And I knew there was at least, more than an hour's worth of hot water, all that other, but I knew that if I hadn't heard from her in an hour, that I needed to sit down and focus and make sure that she was fine.
So so then we had the backup plan. So if it was over an hour, he knew which neighbors to call. And one neighbor had a key to the house. And I would unlock the exterior doors, I will unlock the front door in case of an emergency. The bathroom door I kept open so my service dog could go in and out in case of an emergency. So those
Oh.
are things I think that people don't think about. I had an emergency plan. I've
Yeah,
never fallen
it's
in
the
the shower.
common everyday things that affect us that we need to think about and make adjustments and, note for other people
Right.
to know.
Well, I mean, like you live by yourself. Are you sure there's an emergency? First responders, can they get in?
No,
Okay, so
something
which
I need to
door?
deal with.
But see, so think about that.
Yeah.
Do you trust any of your neighbors enough to give them a key?
I don't have any neighbors because I'm in a commercial area. My apartment is attached to the storage facility I run.
Oh, that's right.
So, and across the street is a shopping center and quilt shop on the other side, a bank on the other side. So I don't really have any neighbors, but my son is close by.
Okay,
there you go.
My
Okay,
son
And
does have a key.
the key is try to find somebody that's within 15 minutes, ideally, away, but really somebody within a half hour. Because if you fall, you want somebody that's closer than 30 minutes.
I think another key is making sure that either post your schedule or someone knows your schedule, like your whereabouts.
Yes. Yeah, in most cases, I do that. I say I'm going here, or my phone's on do not disturb. I'm taking a nap, so don't panic, stuff like that.
Oh, perfect.
And this day of technology too, there's a app. I don't know if you got it from Madre or not, but the Stroke Awareness Foundation has an app for emergency notifications. And what it does is you go into it,
Wow.
and when it opens, okay, I got English, except, wow, I had to reset it up. Okay. Anyway, it sends a message to whoever you list as a text message to, go out and call 911. I'm in trouble or something. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's a pretty good one. I'm having
That's
a
it's
medical
like-
emergency. Please
It's
call
like your
911.
Beeler did. It would send out
Right.
automated messages.
right. Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I had my med necklace. So again, I think what was helpful is that forced us to update all of our procedures.
Yep. Yep.
When
Which-
Clay's here, what's our procedure? Okay, so Clay's gone, which neighbor is gonna help? I have a friend who checks in every Friday. I have a friend who checks in on Wednesday. So there's someone checking, because really for me, like the times that the twins saved my life, I was here by myself and I would have stroked out by myself. I did stroke out. I was by myself and they showed up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And
Well,
Roz's wheelchair was getting stuck in the sand as well. And while I was gone, we found
and that's because, excuse me for interrupting, and that's because Roz was independent enough to go out and feed the ducks, take care of whatever animals you have or whatever, correct?
right. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, and then what were you saying?
So we found another wheelchair. This one has tank treads that would increase her independence outdoors, not limited just to next to the house. But she could go down and check the mail, and she wouldn't get stuck. She ended up, they were draining the lake so that they could do maintenance. They do that every 5 years, I guess. And that created a beachfront at the lake that she was able to drive on and really enjoy for the summer.
Yeah, we're gonna have to post that on our website and socials, the video you sent me. Yeehaw! That cracked me up watching that, and it's like you're driving a little tank. It's funny. It's like, oh God, it worked. It worked great. You
I read,
probably go
go ahead.
ahead. You're probably throwing something, swearing at the air, even crying. Um, what changes or adaptation? I guess I'll have to ask it this way. Clay came home, and I bet you it was like, who is this woman? I mean, and I would think, who am I now? In my case, if I were to come back, I'd go through that on my own. Tell us about what you went through when you came back and found her the way she was.
Yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess because I was in her way. She was now in my way. And we had to relearn everything because there had been so much changes. There was a lot of arguments like, no, I do that now. No, you're not doing that right. I found a better way while you were gone. So fortunately, because there were some military classes that we had about deployments and deployment separation, how to reintegrate. We had those mental tools of how to deal with those stressful situations.
But we had to find them again from the toolbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you too, Roz. I mean, what was it like for you having him in your way again? You know, I mean,
Okay, so it was at the beginning. So remember, I had a mini stroke because he was loud. So that triggered a stroke. I wasn't used to someone else being in the house. There was a lot of times I woke up afraid because I thought someone was breaking in.
oh, because he was home now.
Right. So there
Oh,
were sounds, right? There were sounds at the other side of the house. It worked for us for him to sleep downstairs while I was upstairs because of all that movement. I wasn't getting any sleep. And then we had it, obviously we had what do you call it when you have to get used to the time change?
oh, a jet lag.
Yes. So he had to go through his jet lag, so I was very supportive. Um,
You were supportive, but how difficult was the patience, and how'd you get through it?
okay.
We're
So
still
the
working on it.
Okay,
Okay. So
thank you for being honest. I would expect
fine.
that.
okay. So the main thing is it was basically two single people. It was like two single people moving in
Okay,
together. So all of us have been through that, not necessarily marriage, but that's what it was like. I have to say, and so what worked, and I said, you know what, you've been gone 5 months. A lot of things have changed. I need you to just watch and observe and
Read the
learn.
room. Read the room.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, read the room. That's
Read the room.
explain.
well, and I guess you had to learn to do that for each other too, right? I mean, both of
Yes.
you had to say, this is the way I want it or think I need it. I mean, the communication skills must have improved a great deal or needed.
But see, I will have to say, as a special education teacher,
She reminds me a lot.
well, and I would
Okay.
say, how come two 17-year-olds did a better job at helping me out? Because I would write a list on the board.
Because they didn't have a routine beforehand. This is new to them.
Right.
So they're going to do it the way you want it done, not the way they think it's best done.
And see, he had pre-deployment brain, so he would default to doing everything. And I would have to stop him and say, stop, I do it this way. And so the first 2 weeks, he was astounded at how independent I've become. And and I was able to see, I had physical therapists while he was gone coming into the home. And they kept telling me, okay, you know how to do this. Okay, you do laundry on your own. The key is don't let him, the key is to impress Clay, impress your husband.
Don't let him take it back over when he gets home. Continue to do those things for yourself.
Right.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yes. But they
Yeah.
put it on me. That was I could control that. So literally it was, he got a lot of stop.
I've got this.
Okay.
Stop,
And
I got this. Or I would say watch and learn and read the room. I still say that. That's true. Because like a bull in a china shop, he would rush into the room and I would drop my cane, knock it over, and I literally am in the middle, bending over, picking it up like I learned in physical therapy, and he would run in the room, grab the cane out of my hand while I'm standing up.
Hmm.
He would do a lot of that. I'm emptying the dishwasher, he would come in and take over. And
who's got the most patience now with what's going on?
Who Clay?
Okay, you both
Bambi
just
does.
answered that.
Roz has the most patience still.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm still struggling with my primary job. And a little bit of my sleep schedule. I'm really still struggling with my sleep schedule.
But see, once we figured out it's okay for him to sleep downstairs, he has his own oils, he can do his own unwinding, and I'm upstairs like I have been doing my own unwinding. Okay. And so we're still working that out because there are things, his love language, back to love languages, we know what our love languages are. So his love language is acts of service. So I understand, and that's where I have to stop and read the room for myself. Okay, he's rushing in, not because he thinks I can't take it personal, not because he thinks I can't do it. He's rushing in because that's what he did before deployment. But wow, I learned, I was like, wow, and I see my own progression, my own growth, my own strength increase, because now I can see, Ralph, what he did before, and wow.
You appreciate him more.
Yes, I do.
Cool. Very cool. He gets a kiss for that one. Anyway, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, while you were searching for home care, did you find that most of the home care places were more directed towards senior citizens rather than physically disabled?
Yes. And I'm younger.
Yeah, it was
so
really elder care.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And
so I'm younger, I'm in my 50s. So even when they came in, when they were talking to me, I would stop and say, I already know how to do that. Or, yes, I understand. And then they would stop and say, oh, well, I'm used to talking to the elderly. And I said, I understand that. Can you please remember that I'm not? I have this rare diagnosis and I really need your help in these areas.
Yeah, that's really something that people need to know as stroke survivors. If they get home care, they have to ask for people familiar with stroke survivors.
Yes.
Because it is a way different thing for senior care as opposed to stroke survivors.
Absolutely. And I will say, always, if there's a medical provider on there, like a nurse, I always reached out to the nurse. And I told her my diagnosis, which that's a good subject I wanted to bring up. You know what part of your brain the stroke affected. We all have different hemorrhagic, et cetera, et cetera. It's a good reminder to review that for ourselves.
Yeah.
What areas, what deficits. And so I would reach out to the nurse, and what was great is I would say, this is my diagnosis. They have to as a medical professional, they have to research that diagnosis. It's on them. And so it was great. I had really good feedback. They would always call back. Wow. And they would end up changing their staff. Again, I would make a list. I made it easy for them. I would bullet point, here are my stroke triggers.
Nice.
They
nice.
have, that's a legal document. They have to look at that. And I had, because again, my attitude, I was collaborating. I wasn't, you work for me. I didn't have a attitude about it. I'm very, because they're helping, we're all in the business as a teacher, we're all in the business of helping people with disabilities. And so
I like the fact that you brought up the word collaborate, because one of the things we've always talked about is how you guys sit down at the end of the day and talk about what worked or what didn't, or at the end of a trip, or, you know, what adjustments you need to make. Are you still doing that, or are you getting back to it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
We did that even while I was gone. What worked,
Yeah.
what didn't work.
Okay.
And
Good.
again, I would time myself, like my first showers were an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And Clay
Okay.
knew that. And so now I'm down to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Good for you.
But see,
Wow.
we need to have this, we need to assess, we need to progress. Okay. So an hour and a half. Should I stay at an hour and a half? No. Does that make sense? Laundry, it was taking me 12 hours. 12 hours to do laundry.
And
you
it
know
was
what?
just you. Couldn't have been that much laundry.
I make a mess.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
It was the whole process of getting the laundry out to the laundry room, over down down 2 stairs,
I have an outbuilding.
up one and across the threshold and into down another stair. So there was
I'm pushing a shopping cart full of laundry. I would end up knocking it over, going up and down the steps. It would fall over because I had it too full. So then I
Right.
had to learn from that. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then transferring. And then I have,
we found out that for Roz, a half load of laundry is the perfect amount. It's got an auto sensor on the washing machine anyway, so it won't overfill and waste a bunch of energy. But a half load is the reasonable size for her to be able to manipulate, load, put into a dryer, and then bring back inside.
so then it was a stop. I would have to take a picture. Is this full? Is this too full? Because again, one of my deficits is my depth perception. I can't tell the measurement. And then when I flip the cart over, when I open the door to get it over the stoop, it flipped over. Now I'm stuck. I literally cannot get out the door. So then I go out, then I figure out to go out the other door. So then I learn to keep both doors unlocked.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was learning, and I had to call the neighbor twice because I flipped over the shopping cart. Now I couldn't get in and out of the laundry room.
Oh, okay.
And that's another thing, is always keeping my phone on me. I carry
Great point.
yes.
Great point.
I carry a mail bag. I have my phone on me. So I'm literally stuck myself in the laundry room because I dropped the cart and now I can't get out.
Yeah.
And those are things you don't think about. Oh, well, but
and for us and for us guys, they make some really handy crossbody bags.
Yeah.
That
I've been looking at some of those.
Oh, they're worth it. You should get one. They're just super easy. It's better than a fanny pack because it's easier to put on or take off. It only takes one strong arm to do it, and they stay in place better.
But see that with my one hand, right? I carry my drinks from room to room.
Oh yeah.
I have with the photophobia, I have different glasses. I carry my different glasses in here. So when I would get in a predicament, I always had help.
Yeah, I've got like 15 stairs up to my bedroom and bathroom, and I have grocery bags that hang on the doorknob upstairs, those reusable bags. So when I gotta
Yes,
bring stuff down, I use the
perfect,
grocery bag, you know.
perfect.
And then with laundry baskets, I use a small basket to go down, but I lean on one of the rails to slide with it because it's still afraid of falling down the stairs. Anyway, to wrap it up today, what do you want to say to wrap it up, Clay? First, you.
Even though something's scary, you should look at how it's pushing you forward.
Huh. That's pretty damn profound. I like that. How about you, Roz?
Jumping off that, it's good to be uncomfortable.
Ah,
It's
like that one
good to
too.
be uncomfortable. Think about it. That's how we grow. We
Yeah,
grow under pressure.
you can't learn without mistakes.
That's right.
Great. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time today, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you all next week.
All right,
Perfect.
thank you.
Wait, aren't we talking? Okay.